On December 8, 2022, at a small convenience store near a Shell gas station in Silver Spring, Maryland, an ordinary afternoon spiraled into tragedy. The world outside carried on as usual. Cars passed on the road, people picked up snacks and coffee, unaware that in just moments, a life would be taken in cold blood. Inside that store, 61-year-old Ayalu Wandimu was behind the counter, tending to customers like he did so many times before. Then in walked Tory Moore, a man no one outside his circle seemed to know was carrying a darkness far greater than anyone expected. What started as an argument, reportedly over the purchase of a simple bottle of iced tea, quickly turned violent. Moore and Wandimu exchanged words. The tension escalated. Then, in a shocking flash of violence, Moore pulled out a handgun. At first it was one shot, then another, and again. Moore fired repeatedly. Wandimu fell behind the counter, his life ending in a matter of seconds. Moore didn't flee immediately. He fired more rounds, ensuring that the life he ended wouldn't continue. Then, in a surreal act, he picked up his bottle of iced tea and walked out, leaving the scene of devastation behind him. By the early evening, police were already working to piece together what had happened at the Dash-In convenience store. They had surveillance footage, they had witness testimonies, and they had one key piece of evidence, Moore's identity. With that information, officers executed a search warrant on Moore's apartment, just across the street from the convenience store where Wandimu was killed. What they found inside would horrify them. In the bedroom, under a blanket on the floor, was a body in such a state of decomposition that the room reeked of decay. A body that had been left alone for weeks. It belonged to 26-year-old Denise Middleton, Moore's girlfriend, who had been 8.5 months pregnant at the time of her death. Middleton wasn't just Moore's partner. She was someone excitedly preparing to become a mother. Family and friends said she had already chosen a name for her baby boy, Ezekiel. But something went terribly wrong. According to prosecutors, surveillance footage from earlier in October 2022 showed Moore and Middleton in her apartment building's lobby. The video captured them entering an elevator together, the last time she was seen alive. Minutes later, detectives say Moore shot Middleton 7 times, sacks inside their shared apartment. At least 4 bullets struck her from behind. Moore did not call for help. He did not attempt to notify authorities. Instead, he left her body there, alone and undiscovered, and walked away. For the next 26 days, Moore was on the move. Investigators later discovered his cell phone searches included haunting queries like, how long does it take for a dead body to smell? How to move a dead body without being seen? He traveled to other states, including North Carolina and California, attempting to escape the consequences of what he had done. But when his journey ended, he returned home. And he returned to the apartment, with Middleton's decomposing body still inside. He lived there for weeks with her remains, unaware that law enforcement was closing in. Once Moore was arrested and charged, prosecutors built a powerful case. He was convicted of first-degree murder for the shooting death of Ayalu Wandimu. Later, another jury found him guilty of first-degree murder for killing Denise Middleton and for the death of their unborn son, in what was the first conviction of its kind in Montgomery County, recognizing a murder charge for the death of a viable fetus. Moore was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, plus additional years for other violent offenses, ensuring he will spend the rest of his life behind bars with no possibility of release for decades. This grim sequence of events, a life taken over a moment's anger, another life extinguished in private, and the haunting image of a body left to decompose, forces us to ask hard questions about violence, mental health, and accountability. Those left behind, Wandimu's family, Middleton's loved ones, and the baby who never lived carry wounds that no sentence can heal. Some saw in Moore's actions indicators of severe psychological distress, even mental illness, that may have played a role in what happened that day and the weeks after. But understanding why does not make the loss any less real. In the end, this story is more than a headline. It is a reminder that a single act of violence can ripple outward, leaving scars that last far longer than the moments in which the violence occurred. It is a story of two lives lost, and one more that never began. A tragic collision of anger, desperation, and horror that changed a community forever.